But once they get locked up, they all snitch, right? And that's the storyline about don't snitch. Oh, they snitch.
So when you got into major cases, can you tell us about one of your biggest busts as an undercover?
Well, besides being my biggest bust, I got even a better story. So before I got into major case, you're in the same building. It's just different teams. So let's say this office here is the major case office where all the major case offices are, and then the next room will be another case, another team. It's several teams in one building. So you throughout your day, you see all the pictures up on the walls of all the targeted people. So in the early '90s, I was going out to Cancun. P. Diddy, the diddler now, right? I've known him for years. I've known him since he had his first 318i BMW. But Puff used to do. He was a promoter, and he used to have parties. So 95, 96, 97, I think 3 years he did Cancun for Memorial Weekend, and then after that was another guy named Chris Latimer who did Cancun. They were the main promoters for Cancun. So I'm in Cancun. Millions of people from all over the country is out there, Cancun, and Kid Capri was DJing along with other people. So if you knew the right people, and I did, I'm on stage, right? You got your chains flowing, right? Because I used to wear a lot of jewelry. That's another thing you in a major case. But I'm from the Bronx, right? Everyone wears jewelry, right? So I'm on stage, and you see a clique of dudes, screaming out, they from Queens. This crew is screaming out, they from part of Connecticut. This one's from Atlanta. So we going from theme party to theme party, and you start seeing the same folks. And I went every single year for 5 years. I think 6 years, excuse me. So I see these guys that I saw on a damn wall, right? But I'm in Cancun. So we talking chicks, cars, and making money. So we exchange numbers. I go back and I tell them, yo, I just met these dudes. So let's say, you got a tight knit clique. They not letting new folks get into that clique, right? So, but they met me outside of the street. They met me in Cancun. They see who I was with. They thought I was part of that life. So when I'm out there in the street with them now, we in the 40 projects, and I'm sitting there hanging out. All we did was talk about the same shit we talked about in Cancun. What's the next trip we going on? Cars, chicks, and like at the end of the 45-minute hour conversation, I'm out there hanging with them, drinking a 40. They're like, what you wanted again? I said, I want to get 2 8-balls. Yo, get my man 2 8-balls. And then that's how it started. So now I'm back. And if you my main guy that I'm buying from, I'm gonna make sure I'm not there the next time when you're there, because I already got you locked in. Now I'm gonna try to make a buy from him. So if you're not here at a particular time, I purposely don't come on that time. So now I can see you, and you remember me with him, and now you serving me, and then you serving me, and then he's serving me. And that's how you get everyone wrapped into these cases, So that's what happens. And then what happens is also now the cops are doing surveillance, right? So next time you go to the grocery store, we already know you don't got nothing on you, but you're gonna go to the grocery store, you're gonna go to bodega, you're gonna go to the store to get some food, and we're gonna pull you over. And you're gonna start screaming, I don't got nothing. Y'all bitch ass cops stopped me for no reason. We already know that. We want to get your ID. We want to know where you live at. Okay? Then we're going to run your name, find out who are your aliases, other people you run with, and then that's how we start building our case. On knowing who you are, knowing who you are, knowing who you are. And then when it's time, I step away from the situation, and then that's when you see these search warrants where they doing 20 doors and locking up all these people, and then there's like 8 vans outside. When you open the van, there's already 20 people inside, and they screaming, "Oh shit, they got so and so." That's how it happens.
Gotcha. What's one of the wildest undercovers outside of that one? Is there any like crazy undercover stories?
Yeah. Unfortunately, we was in a situation where 2 young men got killed. Yeah, it was unfortunate, and the sad part is, most of these drug deals gone bad that you hear in the news, it's always because somebody's trying to rob somebody, right? It's the drug deal gone bad never means I'm buying drugs from you and I say, listen, I want a kilo and I'm paying you for that kilo and I get the kilo and you get the cash. Drug deal normally goes bad when you cutting that kilo wrong, you giving me bullshit, or it's not a kilo, or my money's not right. That's how drug deals gone bad goes, right? So what generally happens, I've seen, is most of these guys on the street, they have their bosses they have to answer to, right? So if the cops come and I lock you up, or I or cops come and you run, but the drugs are still there, or somebody else beats you or rob you for those drugs, you still got to make up that money for the guy you're working for, right? So how do you make up that money? New faces come in, you rob them. So I'm that new face coming to buy drugs, or someone else is that new face coming to buy drugs. Okay, you ain't gonna rob your normal customer because that motherfucker, you can count on him. I'm gonna tax that new dude, right? So now somebody comes in to buy drugs, guns from you, and you set them up. That's how these drug deals gone bad goes. So in this one particular situation, I had just stopped being an undercover, right? So I just flipped to being an investigator. And that was like my first week. So I used to drive a Navigator. That was my personal car. So it was a project, and my partner, he's still an undercover. He was buying some guns, and the whole thing was every time you buy guns, right? I'm not trying to buy guns and there's 40 dudes around me, bro, because you feel unsafe. You feel itchy trigger finger. You feel crazy, right? So my man said on the phone, like, yo, bro, just me, you, and one other person. Like, I'm not trying to be there with 40 dudes. And he's like, yeah, it's just gonna be us. So my partner goes to go buy these guns because they called him. He bought 2 guns from them, and they say, yo, we got 6 guns, and being that you a preferred customer, this is what they told him. Because you're a preferred customer, we want you to have the option of the guns first. As a police department, we trying to buy all 6 guns, get those guns off the street. So we bought enough money to buy the 6 guns. What happens is, so the undercover was supposed to meet these guys in the projects in the parking lot area. So I used my Navigator. I had the doors open, the back open, music blasting. I'm out there bouncing the basketball. I get there like 20 minutes before the undercover shows up, right? So, and I'm just, every so often, I'm reaching in the car and I'm like, all right, I see a couple of dudes out here. Everything's good so far. Boom. Right? Continue, music blasting. Undercover shows up. He sees the 2 guys. Next thing you see one other person walking this way, one other person walking that way. And one dude had a Nike box. Apparently that's where the guns were. He opens it up. It's fucking rocks. Dude puts a gun right to his head. They running through his pockets. I scream, move in, move in, move in. And now I'm running down the fucking block with my gun out. Dude turns. My partner was able to grab his gun. Bop, shot him. And somebody else pointed a gun at me. I shot that person. That person lived, but my partner wound up shooting 2 people that day and killed both of them. So it was like 6 people, 2 of them died. And the sad part is I used to date a girl in those projects, and she said her son was supposed to be with them or hang with them, but she said he pissed her off that day and she grounded him. Otherwise, he probably would have been there.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So,
But it's a lot of setups.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happens all too often, bro.
Yeah.
We would watch. Like I said, our job a lot of times is just to, observe while we doing surveillance on people. And we saw while we're doing surveillance in a certain block, we're not particularly even trying to lock them up, just trying to get intel and do surveillance. You see one big dude, he comes up to two Spanish dudes to buy drugs, and he buys the drugs, exchange the money, he's walking, he gets like a half a block, bro. You see him like this. He's tasting it. He turns around. They sold him some beat shit. He ran back and started beating the shit out of both dudes, bro. He started beating the shit. But this is what happens. This is what happens. So we wound up locking up all three guys, but this is what happens. It's always, that's how drug deals go bad. It's never it's no honor amongst thieves.
Yeah. So what was your motivation to being an undercover?
Getting out of uniform. I absolutely hated. First of all, I hated the precinct I worked at because it was very racist in my first precinct that I worked in, and just getting into narcotics. So there was a lieutenant who used to work in narcotics, right? So when you in these precincts, narcotics don't work out of one. We are stationed in one precinct, but we cover a huge area. So let's say I'm working all of a particular area, right? We'll bring our prisoners to this precinct this day. We'll bring our prisoners to another precinct another day, depending on where we get them from, right? So one of the lieutenants out there used to always see me in uniform, like, yo, you look like a little hip hop cop, bro. You need to get out of that. And I was dying to get out of uniform, bro, right? Uniform, you gotta be there at a certain time. You gotta have your boots shine. You gotta play the part, right? Just answering calls on people sick, and most of the time, people in uniform, officers in uniform, they just handle day-to-day calls that dispatch, or when you call 911 operator, somebody's sick, my grandmother not feeling well, ambulance come, but a police officer has to show up as well. Those are the calls that you answer when you're in uniform, right? Traffic infraction, writing summonses. That wasn't what I wanted to do. So when I got offered the position to go into narcotics, obviously as a brand new officer, it was to be an undercover. You're not going to be an investigator because I don't have enough experience to be an investigator. I'm brand new. So when the guy saw me, he said, yo, you look like a little hip hop cop. Gave me the application. I filled it out. Literally like 2 weeks later, I got called to go into narcotics. And I was like, yes.
So seeing
Get out
what
of uniform is crazy, bro.
So seeing what you're seeing, and what you've seen, what are some of the conditions that you've seen these, because I know like people trap out granny house, things of that sort. First is a two-part question. What are some of the conditions that you've seen while pulling the search warrant? And second, how do you feel? How are your feelings and what are your thoughts on drug dealers?
I have a lot of friends who are drug dealers, right? I mean, I grew up in the Bronx. I hung out in Harlem. Half of my friends were drug dealers. When I was young, I really didn't even think of them any different than any other person. And this is before I answer your question. This is how people get caught up, right? Like I'm playing video games at my boy who worked in the trap house, right? Not knowing any better. Like if this was a trap house and this is a game, TV right there, we just playing PlayStation, not knowing. I'm like, I don't sell drugs. I'm playing video games. But if the cops bust down this door, I'm getting locked up the same way, right? And I think a lot of times our youth are unaware of the consequences of making those poor decisions, I mean, I used to wear a lot of jewelry. I had a full-length Sherlin coat on. I think I was like 19, 20. And one of my neighbors, her boyfriend, I don't even know homeboy for more than like a month. He used to see me. He said, yo, homie, I know you work out. I was in good shape. He said, I know you work out. He said, but dudes out here, you look like a victim walking with all that jewelry on and full-length Sherman, right? He told me, I was going out to a club that night. He let me borrow his 25. He said, if you get caught, you ain't get it from me. But I had his gun. That dude is now a pastor. That dude is now a pastor. But at the time, I didn't know. I was like, oh, good looking, bro. Right? I'm like, he's looking out for me. But what happens if I got caught, if I got pulled over, right? I'm not committing no crimes. I'm just looking fly that day, going out. But if I got pulled over with that gun, I wouldn't be here having this conversation with you because I'll be on the other side of the law.
Yeah.
Right? So, but the things that I hate seeing, It's a lot of disheartening things I've seen, man. Like I said, the biggest one is young men and women taking over their grandfather's or grandmother's apartment, right, to sell drugs and making that grandmother or grandfather a slave in their apartment. You know, and that shit was that makes me want to like really smash somebody when I see that, bro. Like we hit a door one time, and soon you walked in, the floor was mad sticky, bro. Like, and we have to clear the apartment. And soon we're not even 20 steps in, and there's a frail old lady, right? She was about 80 pounds, diaper just hanging off her ass, smelling like you could tell there's shit in her diaper, right? So we slightly pull over to the side and we continue clearing the house. And there's two dudes in there, and they sell a lot of PCP, so there's a lot of PCP there. Within 20 minutes, is a mob outside the apartment. Oh, we checking on our grandmother. We checking on our grandmother. Bro, there's a mouse on a sticky trap. I'm sorry, a rat on a sticky trap, corroded, mouse on the floor dead. I said, you checking on your grandmother? I said, we got the drugs. Oh, I don't know nothing about no drugs. I'm checking on my grand. If you checking on your grandmother, this floor wouldn't be looking like this. Pay a fucking crackhead $10 to mop the floor. What you doing? House is filthy. Rats been there corroding. That shit ain't happened yesterday. Mouse dead. This is how you have your grandmother. First of all, how these two dudes even working in this establishment? Like, bro, how could you work here? But that shit is the shit that you see that people don't talk about, you know? And I saw that so many times, man. Going inside, people locked in their damn room because they made the whole house a drug house, and now that grandparent can't leave the house. Or they take their little money from their pension or social security check and they cash it. That shit is crazy.
Yeah. That's crazy.
And it happens a lot. Happens a lot, bro. And these dudes is out there partying, want to pop bottles, talking about I can buy out the bar. You ain't buying out shit, bro. You ain't buying out shit. Mattress on the floor or air mattress. They all snitch. There's no way in the world we know as a police officer, how do I know that apartment 3B in a particular building is a crack house? How do I know they selling drugs there? I don't know. I'm driving up and down the block. How do I know? And see, people don't talk about it. How do we know, right? The code of the street is no snitching. How do we know where all these locations are? We don't have no surveillance cameras that look through the walls. What happens is we lock somebody up. They don't want to do the time. They're like, yo, I got some information. That's how it always happens. And I've sat there as an undercover in the park, in these buildings, while you got the head drug dealer talking about, if I catch anybody snitching, I'm personally shooting you in your head. But when they get locked up, they snitching. They snitching. And most of the ride or die people who don't snitch is like the lowest level dude, bro. The lowest level, the lowest guy on the totem pole want to hold it. And that's why these dudes is doing all this time in jail, bro. And they just got into the game. On the old, I'm trying to keep it real. It's crazy work.
Yeah. Damn. So everybody snitch?
A lot. Not everybody, but a whole lot. A whole lot, bro. A whole lot.
So have you ever witnessed somebody that, like, from maybe snitch to one of your coworkers or something, colleagues, and you undercover and you see him and you might be in the same situation? He's like, nah, I kept it solid. Woo, woo, woo.
No. What happened was this one particular dude, man, they called him Diamond. He had a damn diamond stud right in between his teeth. And this dude here, bro, was talking real greasy about he gonna cut somebody's face or shoot somebody. That dude, I couldn't stand him. So I particularly, like, I was an undercover, but when they locked his ass up and I was behind that wall watching him snitch, I'm like, I gotta go in that place. I gotta go in there so he can see my face. Dude, his face, he was like this. I said, oh. Yes, that shit was crazy, bro. But it's a couple of dudes that was like that, man. I'm gonna tell you, 90% of the time, you build relationships, bro. I mean, I remember one time I was in Far Rockaway, and this dude, all he did was sell pounds of weed and guns.